I I was definitely discouraged. I don't think that I ever got to the point of giving up. At that point, I was really at my wit's end. I looked at this and I saw other channels who had been successful, and I was looking at this saying, okay, the model works. Growing a YouTube channel works. So if something's not working, it's me. It's not the platform.
Hey everyone, it's Anand back again, and I know I have been pretty inactive on this channel for a few months, just been busy with so many projects. But I'm so excited today to bring Jason Whaling on the show because Jason is someone I personally look up to as a marketer. Ever since I made the transition on my channel as well to produce more business and marketing content, Jason is the one guy who I've really looked up to. And I personally have learned so much, especially about growing a YouTube channel. And this is what I do as an agency that, I just wanted to bring him on. So Jason, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and that warm introduction. Humbled that the videos have been so helpful. That's really the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Jason, there's a lot of other marketers out there. Some are legit, some are like a bunch of fake gurus out there. But even amongst the legit ones, I feel like guys like Neil Patel, they all have great content. But I feel, have a very unique. You are able to stand out from all these people who have been making content for more than a decade now. So wanted to learn a bit about how did you even get started on YouTube, and why did you select YouTube as your platform of choice?
Sure, great question. So quick little trip down memory lane. I actually started out as a accountant. So I interned for a big investment firm called Russell Investments for the last 2 years of my college. And then I went straight into a small accounting firm. And by small, I mean there were a total of 10 people in the office. And I quickly realized that I did not want to do that for the rest of my life. And so I actually jumped over to trying to be a financial advisor. I got my registered advisor license. And of course, once you get the license, you have to get clients, which means you have to learn about marketing, which I knew absolutely nothing about. And so long story short, I completely failed. The business really did not go anywhere. I maybe got a couple clients over those years. And I was looking at the prospect of going back and getting a job because my business just hadn't worked out. And at that point, I had just as much marketing experience as I did accounting and registered, investment advisor experience. And so I decided to move back to Washington, where I originally went to school. And I went and worked at a marketing agency for a couple of years. And fast forward again, wound up partnering up with someone who also worked at that marketing agency, and we started our own marketing agency. And the main reason that I went to YouTube, even when I worked at the marketing agency, I was all about paid advertising. I was doing Facebook ads, I was doing Google ads. I had been trained to look down on content marketing. I'd gone through one of those higher level, mastermind courses that were supposed to teach you everything about marketing, and paid an obscene amount of money for it when I was trying to grow my first business. And they were very anti-content. They looked down on those who were creating content and the marketers who were talking about creating content. And so I was stuck in this broken mindset of the way to build a business is paid advertising. Well, by the end of those, several years of draining the savings, not having that work, and then seeing how paid advertising played out for clients in the agency versus what the SEO and content people were doing, the results finally broke through that wall to where I had to admit that I was completely wrong, that content did have a place, that content was valuable. And looking at the different options I had available to me in terms of saying, okay, I'm going to try this content thing. You pretty much you have audio, you have written, and then you have video. And I saw video as the greatest opportunity, especially going back and seeing some of those people that I had been taught to look down upon have massive YouTube channels, have massive blogs. And here I'm sitting with, no money in the bank because I spent it all on ads and didn't get very many clients out of it. And so that's kind of how I finally got on the content train and started a YouTube channel, originally to just grow an audience, to actually to become a better marketer. And then that kind of morphed into, well, I can use this to grow our own agency. So that's the short version. I know I was talking a lot, but that's the short version.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, my experience has been somewhat similar. I joined a mastermind about 2 years ago, and I don't blame them for what they teach, because they need to produce those results for the students, right? Otherwise they won't join them. So they teach you a bunch of like direct response and make that money so you can kind of invest back into them, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, it is very short-term thinking, and they do look down upon, like, I don't even know which mastermind you joined, but maybe we can discuss later like which one. But I mean, but they all teach similar things, which is just make the money in the next, like, they have these sprints, right? Like 90-day goals, and you get your funnel working, but it's not long-term thinking. But then on the other side, you have and this is a good argument they also make, is content takes a long time to get results.
It does.
And also it's a lot of people say content is more of a tool for branding, not so much for scaling your business. What are your thoughts about like in terms of content, using content specifically like YouTube for branding versus as a lead generation tool? And also, how long does it take in your experience to see results in terms of business from your content?
That's a great question, and a very, very valid argument, because I was told something very similar to the tune of, well, content's just for branding and it takes forever. It's going to take 6 to 12 months, and then you still have to do direct response anyway. So in terms of looking at the balance, I think the first thing is there is a difference between content for building your brand and audience, and then content for driving sales. I think I'll just use my marketing channel as an example. When I go and do a video that reviews a freelancing platform like Fiverr, or goes and reviews a funnel software like ClickFunnels or Kartra, Kajabi, now we have Groove Funnels, there's always something else, something new in the pipeline. That type of content is not going to drive sales to our agency. It's just not. It never has, and I don't think it ever will. Does it attract people who might be interested in our services now or in the future? Yes, but of course that leads into the direct response marketers who say, well, yeah, that's great. Maybe down the road, like, are you just going to keep making content because you hope that someone's going to convert in the future? So I think there's a valid argument that a lot of the content that's created out there is in fact just branding and audience building. On the flip side, though, if that's not important to someone, then I think that there's just as much power in creating content that demonstrates your authority and attracts the perfect or your ideal customer. As an example, we make a lot of videos about how to run Google ads, or about how to run YouTube ads, and about how to install Tag Manager and understand what the heck is going on in an analytics dashboard, right? Those videos get way less views than the ones we just talked about, because everybody wants to know about the reviews. They want to know the problem, the negative side of using something like Fiverr or Upwork. And so those get a lot of clicks. That gets a lot more engagement. And so that's great for branding and audience and awareness, right? But on the other side, when you're looking at those kind of more boring tutorials, sure, they don't get as many views, they don't get as much engagement, but those are the ones that ultimately drive sales. And so you might be in a niche or industry where you're lucky and there's an overlap between the two. But for the most part, for us, it's been separate. And so when we go and create content, I think it's a balance that you have to choose between, are we doing branding that's going to be longer term, that really there's hardly any way to have a KPI for the branding side of things, versus are we just going to go all in on creating content that we know is directly in line with the problems our ideal customers are dealing with right now, so we cement ourselves as authority, so that the next time that their Google Ads breaks, they go, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to hire Act Marketing to help me with this because I'm so frustrated and I'm done. And so I think that's the two ways you can kind of look at content, and you can kind of satisfy the argument that yes, content is branding, but you can also go against that argument and say, yeah, but there is a way for content to actually drive sales. And I think my channel is proof that that type of content, that's what brings in the majority of our clients.
So wanted to know, when you said my viewers are mostly entrepreneurs, people looking to use social media, specifically video, to grow their business. That they do care about branding because they want to stand out from the crowd. But if they were to make videos that you mentioned where they want to drive some sales, maybe they have a product or service they want to offer, how should they find the right content to make that are more sales kind of videos?
Great question. So that's a tough one. So there are, I kind of like to, normally I have slides in front of me, but I kind of like to think of there's three types of content. I can't think of the second one right now. But you have the you have a how-to content, then you have review content, and then you have decision guides. And so depending upon whether you're a product business or a services business, these are going to work more, some will work better than others. So let's go with the example of a local bike shop, right? You're trying to get people to come in to purchase bikes. So in that particular instance, doing reviews of different bikes that you have in your shop would be an obvious one, right? The second thing you could do is in terms of creating decision guides. So the questions that someone has when they're buying their first bike, for example, most people don't know the difference between a hybrid and a road bike or how thick the tires are supposed to be. They just see bikers on the road and they go, well, I think I want to try biking, but they have no idea what type of bike they're supposed to choose and whether or not they need to really buy that $2,000 bike versus the one that's just made of aluminum versus carbon fiber or whatever, right? So those types of questions would be a decision guide. And so your goal is to just be helpful with the questions that come up directly in the sales process. And so I think whether you're a services business or a physical product business, those types of decision guides, just answering those questions that you most likely already know because you get them when they walk into your shop or you're having your sales calls, that type of content where you're helping them make a decision and being as objective as possible. That's really important. Being as objective as possible is a great way to bring in customers. Now, something that has been really helpful for us as a services-based business, which is a little counterintuitive, is making really in-depth how-to tutorials. And so, for example, even though we run Google Ads for clients, we make a lot of videos teaching people how to run Google Ads. And we actually get people who try it on their own and then realize, okay, wow, this is way too confusing. I need some help. Or we'll get people who figure it out and then they never hire us, right? So that is just normal. Whatever type of content you create, there's going to be people who find value in it and then don't do business with you. That's just part of life. And that's not an excuse not to make that content. So something that I think is really important with whatever type of content you're making, whether you're doing reviews of products or services that you have, or whether physical products. Don't reviews of services doesn't work out too well. But whatever you're doing, whether you're reviewing physical products you have in your store, you're doing a decision guide, or you're doing an in-depth how-to guide, is that it's number one, completely objective, and number two, it legitimately doesn't hold anything back. So something that we do with our Google Ads tutorials is they're not designed to pull some little piece out where someone watches the video, and everyone has this experience. They watch the video and they go, yeah, but what about that one part? Like, what do I do for that one part? And then you dig down the rabbit hole and you're like, oh, I have to buy your product, or, oh, I have to buy your software, or, oh, I have to, jump on this, paid webinar or whatever it may be. And so that second part is so important. And I think that's part of what's enabled us to be differentiated from everyone else, is that we're not holding that 1% back because we're trying to force people to do business with us. The people that will do business with you will do business with you irrespective of whether that little golden nugget that makes everything works is in your content or not. So, just be genuine and honest, and don't hold anything back in your content. The good clients and customers will come to you anyway.
And I like that mindset, because in this world, there's very few people, like you said, who actually don't hold back. They're very like transactional. They give you just enough info and, hey, buy my course to learn the rest.